This meeting is being recorded. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us. Today's roundtable is on service quality on transportation in Nigeria. I must say, I'm very much interested in transportation as a service. And that's something that has really sort of motivated this discussion. My name is Emmanuel Mogaji. I'm a researcher with interest in transport services. Though I'm in a business school, so my own involvement with transportation has been towards the service quality, seeing transportation as a service that needs to be well presented for people to engage, for people to benefit from it. I recognize that transportation can be explored from different perspectives, and that's one of the reasons why we have this roundtable discussion, to have a different perspective to it. We've got people from the industry, we've got academia, for us to just have this. But the whole idea is for us to see transportation as a service and something that we can do to it. So to get some kind of background, I think about 2 months ago, there was an attack on one of the trains, I think going to Kaduna. And that was very concerning because as a user of the train, you want to make sure you are safe, and you want to make sure that, yes, you start the journey and you complete it. But often, these things cannot really be guaranteed, especially maybe in a country like Nigeria. And I think I was saying with people around that, yes, we are not really police or security agent for us to guarantee this safety. But what can we really do to make sure it's all right? So today, we've been having this conversation around the service quality, and for us to see how we can perhaps share more light on it. So we have 5 eminent speakers with us from different backgrounds. It's been a pleasure to have them around. Yes, we've been having this conversation, and it's nice that they actually accepted the invitation for us to have this conversation together, because I respect their opinion within the industry, and I think we can actually have this conversation, gain some insight, and see what to do moving forward. So it's a pleasure to introduce each of the speakers. So I've got Dr. Remi. I think he prefers to be called Engineer Remi Adewunmi. Yes, but I think I will call him Dr. Engineer. Yeah, who is from the Nigerian Institute of Transport. Okay, please, if you want to mute yourself, please give floor to the speakers. Hold on, so I think. Okay. Just to mute anybody that, okay, that's fine. So we've got Engineer Remi Adewunmi from the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology in Zaria. We've got Mr. Jide Ehizele from the Railway Consultancy Limited in London. I'm still expecting Mr. Olawale Rashid from the African Railway Consulting Limited in Abuja. Then I've got Dr. Ogochukwu Ugboma. Yes, she's a senior lecturer at the Lagos State University. I guess he's from the School of Transport at LASU. Then Dr. Chinebuli Uzondu from the Federal University of Technology in Owerri. So how this is going to go is we have each speakers to give us some kind of insight, their own understanding, and perhaps from their own experience about service quality, to share their thoughts about different aspects of train transportation, and to present to us some of those things they will want to talk about. So that's going to be for 10 minutes each. So we've got 5 speakers, so we expect them to speak for about 10 minutes. Then after that 10 minutes by 5 speakers, that's going for 50 minutes. I will have some questions that I'll be asking them, and then we will open the floor for questions. So I will be starting with Dr. Remi Adewunmi, followed by Mr. Jide. That will be also followed by Mr. Olawale Rashid. then Dr. Ogochukwu, and followed by Dr. Chinebuli. So allow me the pleasure to invite Dr. Remi Adewunmi. Now, 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I hope you can hear me, and I hope everyone can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. I think we have some sounds at the background.
Yes, I'm just trying to figure out who is talking. So please, if you can mute yourself.
It's Emmanuel Taiwo. Oh, yeah, okay, you've muted him.
Yes, yes. Just trying to. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and welcome everybody. Like I've been introduced, my name is Remi Adewunmi. I'm from the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology here in Zaria, and I bring you greetings from Zaria in the northern part of Nigeria. Yes, the situation with our railway industry is something that everybody should really be concerned, and it's something that we will be looking up to, particularly for those of us that grew up at the time when the trade system was very, very attractive and functioning very well. We are looking forward to having a recap of those old days in the system. And you also agree with me that the highways are now overstressed, and almost on a daily basis, accidents are recorded, overloading, congestion, high cost of operation, and open to multiple taxation by various law enforcement agencies. And you know that with all these challenges, the push now, the love now is for a shift in our modal system towards the rail, particularly for freight movement across the country. And with a population of over 200 million and priding ourselves as the largest economy in Africa, that should be one of the infrastructures that we should boast of. The train should be able to solve our problem. And we have some countries who depend on moving their goods through our land. So train is just the way that to go in the country now. And government needs to accelerate the development in the rail industry across the country, because the death of that system for over 30, 40 years has created a lot of dependency on the road. And it's not a lot of things that are being moved on our road shouldn't ordinarily be moved on the road. The rail will have been and you will agree with me, the rail provides cheaper cost of transportation of freight. And it is a means of creation of jobs for a large populace of the people, So we need to look into how this rail can come back into our system and how we can live the life that the rail provides for people. There are families in those days, even outside, across the world, that have depended in generations on working in the rail system. And they built a tradition of working in the rail, and that is becoming absent in Nigeria. Looking at the position of the transport policy in Nigeria as regards the rail system, as a document, the National Transport Policy actually focuses on achieving a number of objectives and goals that are worthy of emulation. Adequate transport system, safe transport system, an environmentally sound transport system, efficient transport system, affordable transport system. Those are the targets and goals of the policy. But you agree with me that the absence of the rail will make some of these things not achievable. The rail is supposed to provide the spine to connect all the other cities and roads together. But in the absence, is making this. So the rail transportation is strategically positioned in the transport policy of this country, if it is achieved properly. And it will go a long way helping us to achieve an efficient and effective transport system in the country that makes mobility free throughout the country. What is the role of government in this case, particularly as regards rail transport management? Transport generally is still dominantly with the government, particularly rail. It's only recently that we and maybe rivers. The set to managers is also the development that will meet the world-class standards. They need to formulate policies and laws to guide transport operation in the country. They need to ensure that required safety equipment are provided while also promoting a culture among the people for safety and efficient transportation system among the populace. We need to increase more research and development in transport, particularly in the rail. And funding definitely has to be the background to achieve all of this. So, and then the use of technology needs to be embraced too in our country if we need to really move forward. On the part of service quality for rail transport, generally, when we talk of service quality, you need to have the assurance with regards to courtesy of staff, the regards to safety and security. We need to have the empathy on the side of the customer care service and the reliability of the train schedules. It is not a time that you go to get a time for a train and then the train doesn't show up or is postponed or is adjusted, the timetable is adjusted. No, information dissemination also needs to be good for you to have an ensured service quality. Let me quickly look at the role of academics, the expectation from practitioners and academics to enhance the service quality. Transportation is not only on formal education. Regular academic school can really not teach transport to the level that it will be effective and efficient. Transportation has to be more of being involved and being part of the system. A formal education program and academic research effort have not always been a determining factor in the development of transport innovation. What it requires is the management and operation of a system, particularly the railway system. We require the education on the tracks, on the rail, as well as augmented by the ones in this classroom. So transportation issues have become more complex and more dependent on many other issues. Environment, economic, private sector response, economic resources from government, the industry itself, what are they looking at? In the US, there's a program they call Railroad Engineering Education Symposium. It started since 2012, and for every 4 years, the American Railway Engineering and Maintenance of Way Association, Remark, brings all practitioners in the rail system, the industry, the universities, they bring them together, they develop industry technology roadmap that will be used for rail for the next 4 years. They know that as far as the train system is concerned, they are still behind the likes of Japan, the likes of Europe, but they want to maintain movement of goods across the country. And they need the industry to come and dictate to the academics what they should change. Hello? I hope you are hearing me.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. So they come together and identify the available technology innovations that the economy, the safety, the security, and socio-political issues in the country will identify. All the universities and institutions offering railway engineering courses were brought together every 4 years. Companies like Amtrak, BNSF, CN, CITEC, all of them, Norfolk South, they come together and they fashion what they should be teaching people who eventually come to work in the rail industry at the university level. That is the expectation from the practitioners and academics to enhance the quality. In Nigeria, what I think we need, which the Nigerian Institute of Transport Technology is really working on, is
Yeah, I think we lost him to the network. Yes. Wow. So please bear with us. Let's see if the network will allow him to resume his speech, please. Engineer Remi, can you still hear us? I think the network is bad and we can't hear from you again. Yes. Wow, that's sorry, but I'm sure we try to come back for him to finish each side of the presentation. So I guess I will not really want to waste much of our time while we wait for him in case I'm sure he's going to try and come back. Yes. So Mr. Jide, would you try to see if you can start sharing your slide so that we can carry on, please? But please, in case Dr. Remi comes back, we can just quickly pause and allow him to finish. I hope you don't mind.
No problem. That's no problem. Hold on a second.
Yes. So see, I think I've see if you can share your slides.
Can you see it?
I can see it.
All right, just hold on. I hope everybody can see the slides.
I like your choice of green and white. That seems very patriotic.
Yes. So I think this topic we're talking about is quite a huge and wide topic. So the reason why I did these presentation slides is because I didn't want to get too lost. I wanted to kind of narrow my focus today within these 10 minutes on the idea of consumer services. So I wasn't too sure about the background of people, our viewers today. So I just want to give you an overview of the Nigerian railway industry and of the railway in Nigeria. So we have about 4,000 kilometers of rail in Nigeria. The vast majority of that, about 90% of that, is the narrow gauge railway network. As you can see in the color purple. This was built during the colonial period, mostly. And we have the standard gauge that has been being built, that's been constructed over the last 10 or 15 years. And this is what most of us have been hearing about, the enthusiasm, or we call it the renaissance of the Nigerian railway network, is largely the standard gauge that we've been hearing, which you can see is highlighted in red. So the Lagos-Ibadan Railway, Kaduna-Abuja, which obviously we heard about 2 months ago, the security issues there.
Sorry, Jide. Hello, Jide, we're not seeing your
please,
slide.
I think
you're not seeing the slides.
We're seeing it, but it's not moving. Could you put it in this slide?
Is it moving like this?
No. I think maybe you need to present it or something. I think you need to go down and make it into slideshow.
Yeah.
All right,
slideshow, so that I can.
Hold on a second.
Yeah, I think. No, maybe. Yes, try maybe from current slide. Okay, set up. Yeah, maybe from there. Let's see.
Is it moving now?
No. But I think we can.
Let's just go ahead with this, because if the network isn't too good, it won't work. Just go ahead with this.
So just click on the slide so we can see. So if you can go to the second slide so we can see the map again, please. Now we can see the third slide. But if you can go to the second slide, just click on it to select the second slide.
This is the second slide. This is the map. I can see the map here. You can't see the map?
We can't, but we're only seeing it on the left-hand side. We are seeing your small thumbnails on the left-hand side.
I see. I wonder.
Now we can see the second slide.
Maybe I'll have to do it this way if you don't mind.
Now we see the third one.
Okay.
I think you can just go on with that.
Are you okay like this? Yes. I'll just do it like this then.
Okay.
So as I was saying, I was just trying to explain the rail network in Nigeria. So the narrow gauge railway network was built, during the colonial period. The standard gauge has been built over the last 20 years, as we can see in the color red. So the Lagos-Ibadan Railway, Kaduna-Abuja corridor, and Warri-Takwe corridor. So I want us to just focus more on the standard gauge railway, because this is what's been causing the waves in Nigeria right now. So this is being built mostly by the Chinese. And over the last, let's say 10 years is when this railway has really come into fruition. Particularly over the last 5 years, the Kaduna, Abuja, Lagos, Ibadan, and Warri-Takwe have all been built over the last 5 years, built and completed over the last 5 years. So I wanted to actually focus more on the rail market segments. You know, the railway is used to connect people to places and enable them to go about their daily lives. And in order to respond to this, rail operators must tailor their services accordingly. And this is the aspect I really want to focus on right now. It's about the need for us, for all railway people and management to focus on tailoring our services according to the customer market. So below are just a list of 4 different types of passenger services. So we have intercity rail, which is, you know, as it says, city to city transport. So for instance, we actually have a few in Nigeria currently. Kaduna to Abuja is an intercity rail passenger express. Lagos Ibadan is an intercity rail network. What else do we have there? The planned Kaduna to Kano is an intercity express network. These kind of rail services have little stops in between, just direct services between city to city. In England, we have you know, London to Manchester service would be an intercity service with maybe 1 or 2 stops in between. So they're known to be quite fast and direct. We then have suburban rail, which is known as commuter services. And we actually have this in Nigeria, you know, on the Western Main Line, between Ijoko to Ebutemeta. This is actually a suburban railway network where people used to commute. So you see several stops in between. So the suburban rail will be designed and tailored to the needs of the commuter. We then have rapid transit, and this is metro-like services. You know, London Underground, New York Subway. These are high capacity services that carry maybe 500,000 people, you know, per hour. Our very own Lagos right now are building the blue and red line, which I think expected to carry 500,000 people a day. So that's a perfect example of a rapid transit. As you know, this kind of services will be focused more on getting people in, getting huge amounts of people in, and it will affect the design of the train. So when you're looking at a rapid transit type of train, you're not going to want to build a train that has many seats. You want it to be quite spacious, so lots of people will be able to, you know, stand, look, we can fit a lot of people inside. So this is what I mean by tailoring the services accordingly to what the market needs. And then finally, we have local services. And local services are just what we call stopper trains. So it's a train from maybe Lagos to Kano that stops on every single station along the journey. So it's to help the local community, local economy. So I just wanted to talk about the passenger services that we offer in Nigeria right now. You know, Nigeria is a diverse nature. We have, each corridor runs through communities and cities that have their own distinct culture and industry. However, the issue we have is that there's a standardized approach to operations and all passenger services. There's no, Lagos to Ibadan service is the same. It's the same as the Abuja to Kaduna. There's no, you know, difference in the way the service is being presented. It's all, you know, maybe an hourly, 2-hourly service, and we haven't taken into consideration the passenger needs. We're just assuming that we need to get the people from A to B, but it can be a little bit more complex than that. So below is just an example of the different consumer segment. You know, we have the commuter who just wants to get to work, who probably has a high value of time. His priority is just to get there as fast and as quick as possible. This also applies to the business traveler. And with leisure, a leisure traveler is typically much more relaxed, and he doesn't need to typically travel between, you know, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. He can travel any time of the day, you know, and he's more laxed about, you know, the speed aspect. And we have rural travelers who just want to, you know, get to their place to do their shopping and etc. And each of these segments have their own needs that we as railway stakeholders need to try to tailor ourselves according to their needs. Yeah, so what I wanted to do was just give a quick breakdown of the customer segments that I see in the different corridors in Nigeria. So the Abuja-Kaduna corridor, we have larger volumes of business travel, as it's the capital of Nigeria, with, you know, it's an international hub that hosts, you know, many international conferences. So we're going to know, as we're going to assume that there's going to be a lot of people coming to Abuja that are coming on the idea of business. So these people have, you know, a high value of time. So we should start maybe possibly prioritizing, you know, fast services. I think right now in the Abuja-Kaduna corridor, there's 4 station stops, which increase, you know, the journey time. What's saying, why can't we, for instance, do a fast service, Abuja to Kaduna Street, maybe 1 hour and 30 minutes rather than 2 hours and 30 minutes? This will appeal more to the large business travelers that want to get that, you know, that prioritize speed and journey time, fast journey time. We then have suburban communities. So we have, hope everybody can still hear me.
I can hear you.
You can hear me. All right, then I'll continue then.
Indeed, please, if you don't mind, mute yourself, please. Yeah, I guess.
All right. I'll continue.
Continue, please.
So I was going to my suburban commuting into Abuja, and you know, we have as we know, it's a huge civil service, you know, town, Abuja. This is where the National Assembly is, you know, Aso Rock. So we know there's a lot of commuting, and we have a lot coming into Abuja. So it's important that we actually prioritize maybe suburban rail services. And you know, education. I've actually read, for instance, in articles of students actually saying that the reason why they were able to go to school, the reason why they've chosen, you know, for instance, Kaduna State University as a university of choice was because of actually the Abuja-Kaduna rail network. So I'm just giving an example of the different market segments that exist across a single corridor, and how it's important that we can try and offer different type of services to these people if we want to maximize the effectiveness of rail transport for Nigerians, for all Nigerians. And the same applies for Lagos-Ibadan Railway. I've explained about business travel. We know Lagos is the commercial capital of Nigeria. And I just gave an example of, you know, leisure. You know, we have Olumorok in Abeokuta. So, you know, we have people that might want to come travel for leisure, and it's about trying to package a rail service. You know, maybe we give them cheaper fare price during off-peak hours, so outside commuting hours, to encourage people to use the service. And then we have the Warri-Itakpe rail network, which is largely crosses across from Delta State to Kogi State, passes through Edo State, and it's mostly rural areas. And finally, I think this is kind of what I explained in the previous slide, and it's just about the type of ways we can provide and offer different type of services. So I said off-peak and peak ticketing. So this is a concept we have in the UK. So peak tickets are for the commuting hours. So they tend to be more expensive because there's a higher demand for people traveling to work. And leisure, people are much more lax. Any time of the day, we can offer cheaper prices. You know, this is the way we can, it's price discrimination, but it's a way for us to maximize revenue rather than charging a single price point for all consumers. As I said previously, there's an issue of fast trains. I don't see anything wrong, for instance, having a fast train from Lagos to Ibadan rather than stopping at each station. I think there's 8 stations along the line. You know, for business travelers that want to get to Ibadan, maybe 70 minutes instead of, I think right now, it's actually 1 hour and 40 minutes to get from Lagos to Ibadan. And you can imagine, for any business traveler or someone that's a high value of time, why would I take rail, which takes 1 hour and 40 minutes, when I can maybe take car, It's going to take me 90 minutes and I can get from door to door. So it's about looking at whether we can, what we can do to try and track different type of passengers. And finally, this applies to rural network, the Owerri to Itakpe railway line. I've always wondered, why can't we tailor the stations, the services according to, for instance, town market days? The local community value their town market days, maybe on a Friday. Why don't we tailor the rail services to accompany those kind of days? And I just wanted to reference, there's this train my father actually told me about called Okoidogo that used to occur during the 1960s. It's a branch train from Ogun West. It's a village in Ogun West that comes all the way down to Lagos. And this train was specifically for farmers. It specifically was tailored towards farmers in the sense it had long waiting times at each station. Rather than waiting for 5 minutes, the train would wait for 10 minutes at each station stop. And this would allow the farmers to bring out their produce, on. It was tailored according to the needs of the farmers, rather than a service that, the train stops at the station for 2 minutes or 3 minutes. This is not going to appeal for farmers that are bringing, huge amounts of produce or kilograms of goods. So it's just about tailoring our, services according to our passengers' needs. And ultimately, offering a package of services to the different market segments will maximize customer satisfaction and thus real revenue. And I am done there. Thank you for listening and thank you for managing with the slides. I hope that was clear and everybody was able to at least see what I was presenting.
Yeah, that's all right. Thank you so much. Before you go, 2 things. I think Emmanuel said if you can share your slide. So that's just a question. Please, if you can share that. But please, can you go to your first slide, your second slide? I think I want you to talk about this map again.
This map?
Yeah, because this map, I'm seeing that Unguri, Maduguri, Jos, that side seems to be empty in terms of the red lines, the standard gauge. What do you think of that? So I'm seeing like half of Nigeria from Kano, Jos to Port Harcourt down that line to that end seems not to have much of that standard gauge. What do you think of that?
I think, well, indeed, I think you're right in a sense that for now it isn't, but we have a railway master plan. Okay. And the aim of the railway, this was actually during Obasanjo's regime, but the aim of the railway master plan is actually to construct standard gauge railway in each of the 36 states across Nigeria. Okay. So the aim hopefully is eventually for these red lines, you will see them all across Nigeria. I think the reason why they've prioritized these corridors is simply because of the demand. I mean, I think Lagos to Ibadan, Kaduna, Abuja, and particularly are in the top 5 transport corridors in terms of demand. Where these corridors maybe have about 50,000 travelers per day. So I think the Nigerian government, the federal government, secretly prioritized these areas. Owerri Itakpe has been in the pipeline for quite a while, since about 40 years ago. It was meant to be prioritized as a freight line. But yes, I think
can you please? I know this is not time for question, but I just thought we should quickly talk about this. What do you think is special? So at least I know Lagos to Ibadan, Kaduna to Abuja, you said it. What do you think is special about that Itakpe to Owerri? Is it about the freight?
I think it's because of the freight. Owerri, we have a port. There's going to be a port at Owerri. There's an iron ore, where the intention is to build an iron ore manufacturing center in Itakpe. And the eventual aim is actually to connect these 2 lines into Abuja. This is another phase. So we can't look at them as individuals. This is called the central line. Eventually, the plan is to connect Owerri all the way, Itakpe all the way to Abuja. Okay, that's all right. Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm sure we come back to questions. I just quickly want to share that. So please, thank you so much for your time. And we come back to question with you later. Dr. Engineer Remi is here with us. Excuse me, sir, are you back? Can you take the floor and sort of help us with your thoughts? We missed you there. So please, the last comment I got from you was this idea of bringing stakeholders together. You were talking about the Railway Engineering Symposium in America. So if you can just continue from that trend, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really apologize for my network issue. And I'm sure if you know Zaria, you will understand the situation. Yeah.
We understand.
So, yeah, as I was saying, the rail in the industry is more of practical development and less of academic. So it's how it is being run that determines what they should teach. That's the point we were trying to make there. Not academic is academic. The basic curriculum in any regular academic school is basic. They provide it for you to be basic. But when you get to the field, when you get to the industry, you now know the needs. And then we'll take these needs back to the academics and say, look, these are the challenges in the industry. Let's fashion training. Let's fashion academic program to lead us to the solutions to this problem. And that is the key. So maybe in Nigeria, it may not be every 4 years. Maybe let's start with even one first. I'm glad what we're doing now is one of such things. We will now be able to say, look, there is a life in the industry, in the rail industry. There are traditions in the rail industry that we need to develop so that it's a profession, it's a discipline, it's a career that people will live into. Generations and generations will develop from it and be comfortable. So what additional things that the academic will do is to bring out publications highlighting the means of improvement in this area. You know, a journal targeted basically for rail in industry in Nigeria, and then include railway industry in some of the academic contents in schools. Like in engineering, for instance, you understand rail as it should operate, but not in the operation, as not in the technicalities of how it moves, how scheduling is, how you move. Thank God for what Jide was presenting. There are so many service quality requirements for the rail. You know, leisure is basically one of them, and you could develop a system particularly for that. Then we need to develop schemes for training and retraining. You know, it's good to train them once, and then after some time, 2 years or so, they need to be retrained. The railway personnel need to do training and retraining so that the quality service delivery will be improved for the general operation. That's the expectations from the practitioners and the academic, as I was trying to. Then while closing, we need to look at what the commuters are also looking out to in ensuring that the train work. Commuters and general public are critical of the survival of the rail because they are the users. Like the speed Jide was talking about, for the Kaduna-Abuja is only one single track. There's a limit to how much the speed can be because another, as one train is leaving Abuja, another one is leaving Kaduna, and they need to meet. They need to meet at one point. So speed is limited. It has to be programmed into how the train. So increasing patronage by shifting the rail to where you observed by the question you were asking him that there used to be train from Jos to Maiduguri axis. That no longer exists because Nguru passing through Kano to that side is not. In fact, whatever happened to the tracks, nobody knows. They were moved away, you know, and things like that. So there are services that need to remain, and there are services that need to be developed to. If looking at the map of Nigeria, you see some sites that train is, they've never even seen what is called rail in that area. No, and then we need to develop a feedback mechanism for our services, complaints and suggestions, so that improvement after every service, you need to be able to report that, oh, this ride was enjoyable. This is my experience on this ride. This and this are suggestions that could improve. And we need to keep our facility. You know, I guess at one point in this program, we'll still talk about the security of train services in this country, which is a critical issue. You know, the fear of the unknown is what is keeping a lot of people away from, particularly those of us in Kaduna State now. We're scared of so many things. The road is a problem. The rail is a problem. Even flying by air to Kaduna is not possible anymore. So one of the thoughts is to have a infrastructural guard, something look like a national guard for protection of transport infrastructure. That's what we're thinking of at the level of the NIT. So that there will be, like the Americans used to call their own ranger. They look at the infrastructure along the line and be able to provide security for it, basically for that infrastructure. So if we look at having similar situation in Nigeria, it may go some way. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I like your point about less of academics and more of practitioners. Yes, but I think I will allow one of our academics to really deal with that first. So I think we can have that conversation about which one comes first. Is it the practitioner or is it the academics that should come first? But I think that's also one of those things that we will be discussing today. So thank you so much. We will come back for questions. But now let me invite our next speaker, which is Dr. Ogochukwu. So please, Dr. Ogochukwu, the floor is yours. You've got 10 minutes for you to share your insight. I hope you can present some theoretical and some academic insight for us. Yes, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being part of this roundtable discussion. So, I'm really sorry. When I saw Jide's slide, I felt it was going to be just some form of discussion. I didn't know I would come up with it.
That's fine. Jide's one was not a standard, so don't worry. Let's just talk.
It's okay. Okay, so for the 10 minutes, I understand that I'm supposed to specifically focus on service quality, consumer experience, and security. So be that as it may, let me give you guys this short story. This is real life because I was involved. So a fortnight before the terrorist attack on the Kaduna Abuja rail line, I was on that same train because I and some of my colleagues had a job to do in Kaduna State. So we flew in from Lagos to Abuja. Then by Sunday, we were to get back to Lagos. But there were challenges with the weather, so we couldn't fly back, and we needed to be in Lagos on that Sunday. So we quickly arranged to get to the train station. That's Rigasa. Can you still hear me? Okay. Okay, to Rigasa train station, and for me, that was my first time in a Nigerian train, the first time. So I stand in a good position to give you, highlights about service quality and all that. So the first thing that hit me was the number of people at the train station. It was humongous. I didn't think people were, so readily available to take trains, but it impressed me a lot. Then we were able to get tickets because I think they have like 5 shifts in a day. So we're able to get on that one. So it wasn't difficult getting in, passing the security, present your ticket, they verify it, you go to your own coach and you sit there and there were seats. And to my surprise, it was really air conditioned, which impressed me, So we got in but because we hadn't had breakfast and I was kind of hungry, 3 of us were hungry. So, but having to get where to get something, to buy snacks to eat was quite difficult. That was something that was, kind of a challenge there. I had to travel like 11 coaches to get something to buy. And somehow it's so confusing that you might not even know what coach you left from. So I had to, before I left, I was counting actually. So I did a reverse count on my way back, You know, I didn't see visibly where these coaches were numbered, were labeled. This is where you're living, and this is where you're going to. So, what else did I notice? So it was a smooth ride, though we had stops, but we had already booked a flight from Abuja to Lagos. So what Jide was talking about, time sensitivity. I mean, if you had to move with time and have this train do a long haul all the way to Abuja without all the stops in between the stations, but I see a challenge because the limitations they have, because they just have that single track. You know, it's easier when you have infrastructural development. This is something that could be put into the plan. You have different tracks. You could have this for people that are going all the way the long haul and those that are going to break in between. So that's about that. Then we got to Idu station and the journey was good. But 2 weeks later, it was disaster. In fact, I was looking forward to taking my children, and even my children's school. I'm the secretary of the PTA, so I wanted to arrange for the children to travel to Rock and all that. But when that terrorist attack happened, it was from 100 to 0 for me. So we have a problem with security, and we have an opportunity to see how we can improve on that security. What are the technologies? What are the devices? What are the apparatus that are in place to make sure that commuters are safe while they're in transit? So for me, as for service quality, there are things that one should look out for. The customer expectation, what are we expecting to see? For me, I was impressed that at least the demand for train services is there in Nigeria. So it's not about the number. The number is good. So the perceived quality, it could be better. It could be better when they are trained, when people are, conversant about standards and things that will help the quality to improve. Then the perceived value is also there because the ticket to Kaduna, from Kaduna to Abuja was 3,000. If I was to do that on the road, I'm sure I'm going to get it higher than probably 9,000 or so. You're not even sure if you're going to get to Abuja in one piece. So the value, the perceived value is there. Then customer satisfaction, in a scale of 10, I could give them a 6, which is okay. It's an improvement and it could get better. Then you have customer complaints. Well, I didn't have to complain about anything because I still see it that it's a business that is transiting. But then that is something we should look out for. In the event that you have customers that lay complaints, how are those complaints able to be, met out with? So this is something that should be also looked out for. Then you have customer loyalty. At the end of the day, I believe that when service quality is efficient and effective, loyalty is not something that we will toy with. Loyalty will also be there, because if I didn't hear about the terrorist attack, I'm sure by now I would have taken the children to Rock and all that. So there are various things that we ought to look out for. And I'm just going to touch on the prospects because I still have time. I haven't exhausted my 10 minutes, right, Emmanuel? So I'm going to be talking about some of the prospects of train transportation in Nigeria. We know train transportation has a lot of advantages. First of all, the challenge that I see in the country is that of haulage. For the shipper, train transportation is out to cut costs. Between 10 to 40% of your transportation costs will be cut by using train system. And for train system to be very efficient, we're talking about intermodality. It has to work hand in hand with other transport modes. Rail transportation cannot be looked at as an individual entity. It needs to work with other modes of transportation for you to be able to avail yourself of the efficiency and the seamlessness that it enhances. So when we see how many trucks and how many boxes fall on people on our roads and the amount of gridlock and congestion that they cause, you begin to wonder what is happening with the rail system. Many of these boxes from the port are supposed to be on the rail, moving to where they are needed. We don't have any business, especially with the petroleum products. We know they are highly inflammable. We should not be seeing any trucks or tankers of petrol bearing petroleum products on our roads. The train system should be developed to the extent that these things are hauled by rail. Then what of agricultural products? Very important. Ab initio, the British that came into Nigeria, that was their own plan to cut away these agricultural products from the hinterland to the port. Why have we not expanded on this rail track? Many of them have been built over right at the port. Many of them have just been eroded. So we have a lot of advantages and prospects. And most importantly, we have a topical issue right now, and that is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The role of rail transportation is quite pertinent in the improvement and success of that African Continental Free Trade Agreement, especially where Nigeria is concerned. We're talking about uniformity in international trade, uniformity in trade in Africa. If other countries are developing ours, it is now right for us to think about what we're going to do in our own rail system to improve it, make it efficient, so that we will have a competitive advantage when it comes to trade facilitation under the African Continental Free Trade Area. So I'm not going to bore you about all the other advantages, time effectiveness, cost efficiencies, economies of scale. Come on, economies of scale is very pertinent. Carrying large cargo all over the rail system, reliability and efficiency, and you have access to more capacity compared to the trucks on the road. Rail gives you more access to capacity. And then again, we have some limitations, we have some challenges, yes. And the first and foremost challenge there is innovation, new technologies. How can you be competitive if you're not investing in new technologies? When you have increased demand for rail, obviously you have to try as much as possible to increase efficiency, increase speed, increase safety, increase your reliability. All these things are innovative, and you must be able to meet up with the technological innovation that comes with it. Then you have your maintenance, and we know that is one problem we have in Nigeria, the maintenance culture. These rails are not protected. They are out there. How are they? What sort of security do we have against vandalism, against violations, against theft and all that? So we also need to look at our maintenance culture and the associated costs also in keeping costs down for especially the end user. I'm not sure if I should go ahead or stop here, Emmanuel.
Yes, that's fine. Thank you so much for your insight. I think I like the fact that you've shared your experience with us. I think I like the real thing. I don't know how to explain this further. Like, you are there and you can tell us what it feels like to be on those streams. I also like your concern about counting backward to find your coach. I just hope you found it. Yes. So I think I appreciate your insight. Thank you so much. We'll still come back to question. So I think let me invite Dr. Chinebuli now to come on the floor and also share our own insight. So we then come back to everybody with the questions. Dr. Chinebuli, can you take over now, please?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes. I will talk from of the I think it should be at the center of transport
I think the network is breaking. Am I the only one hearing that?
No, it's also happening on my side too.
Okay.
Oh, you can't hear me.
We could not hear you right from the beginning. Can you hear us?
Can you hear me now? Yes, I can hear you. I can hear everybody.
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Thank you, please. If you can carry on.
Have a number
Dr. Chinebuli, I think you're breaking up.
Yeah. You're breaking up. I can't hear you.
I can hear everybody clearly.
Okay. If yes, just try again. Let's see. Keep going.
Can you hear me?
We hear you when you say, can you hear me?
Okay.
We can't hear you anymore.
It seems
because
Chinebuli, probably you need to log out and log in again. When you start talking, we don't hear you at all.
Yeah.
Yes, for some reason.
So you can log in, log out, and we wait for you. Don't worry. See if you can log out and log in. Don't worry, we wait for you. In that time, maybe I can use, yes. So if you can log out and log in, maybe that will be better. So if you can use that time.
I'm doing that now.
What? Yes. So while we wait for Dr. Chinebuli to log out and log in, maybe I can ask some questions with Dr. Ogochukwu. Are you still with us, Dr. Ogochukwu?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I'm just trying to get your own understanding about the experience of other commuters with you on that train. You said there were a lot of people. Do you think they feel a kind of excitement, or they just manage what they have to, what the train company has to offer?
Okay, so I got talking with some of them, because when I was expressing my disbelief in the level of service I got, many of them were very comfortable, because they were like, so this is really your first time? No, we always use the weekend. I come from Abuja to Kaduna, then Sundays I go back because I work in Kaduna. I mean, I work in Abuja and I live in Kaduna. And, you know, they were so comfortable because there were lots of children. That was why I was so heartbroken when that attack occurred, because I know the number of children that will be so traumatized in that train. It's like a family thing. People were comfortable. It was a welcome development. You can imagine where you have people carrying boxes, suitcases and all that. Traveling, something you will hardly get, when you're moving on the road, because these touts will always charge you for even one Ghana must go back. But here you have spaces above and under the chairs where you can put your suitcases and all that. So people were quite comfortable. So it's so pathetic that this kind of things will be happening right now in the country when we should see a lot of progression and advancement. So we're quite comfortable, and it's something that they're so comfortable and used to. And I said the demand, all the seats were filled up. And even as I traveled the 11 coaches, people were even standing, in between one coach and the other. People were moving around, gisting with one another. They were quite comfortable. It was so pleasant to see. I didn't think it was going to be like this here, but it's something, it's so normal. We're gisting. People would even, I think there's a way they upgrade into the first class coach, because I think over there they have televisions and all that. Because we stormed into the the train station, we didn't make prior bookings. But I think if you have the opportunity to make prior bookings, you can have your first class, very comfortable coaches, television, the air conditioner. So it's something that I really look forward to. And
wow. That's fine.
Yeah,
thank you so much for sharing that customer experience. Thank you. Yeah, let's see if Dr. Chinebuli is back with us now. Are you here now, Dr. Chinebuli?
I don't think she's back. I do have a question for Mr. Jide.
Okay, please go on.
Right. So I asked my question in the comment box, but I think maybe I wasn't clear enough. So you made mention of the peak and off-peak variation of prices in the UK, and so I was thinking, since the government aim for people to come use public transportation in the first place, especially the train and the bus system, is to reduce congestion on the road and also, you know, to reduce the environmental effects of having so much cars on the road. So during commuting hours, you say the price will go up. Does this not discourage people from using the train system, since they are not necessarily getting the best benefits, the maximum benefit from using the transit system? I suppose during commuting hours, travel time might increase somewhat, and so at this period, their value of travel time also is high. So I'm just thinking about other incentives that the government have put in place, you know, to attract people to use the public transit system, like the train, during these hours.
Okay, yes, I think everything you've said is actually correct. Typically, if you increase price, it's going to discourage consumers. I think that's the reason why. I think that's the reason why, if we want to, we cannot increase price. We cannot price discriminate until we've actually created a service that is worthwhile for commuters, to think it's worthwhile. But again, the challenge you've actually mentioned is the aspect of we want to make the railway inclusive. And how do we make that inclusive when we know that the average salary, you know, the average salary in Nigeria is, you know, whatever it might be, if it's 40,000, you know, naira, you know. So it's definitely a challenge, but it's not insurmountable. I think that we need to find a way. Like, there's something, for instance, through market research, there's something we call, you know, it's called revealed preferences. So we need to just find out from maybe market research. We interview 100 Nigerians, for instance. We interview 100 Nigerians and we ask them, option A, would you rather prefer a service from A to B that is 60 minutes and 5,000 naira, or option B, which is 2 hours, but 2,000 naira? You know, this is what so we need to find a way to understand a bit better the type of price increases we can afford to give Nigerians that will be worthwhile, that will give a worthwhile service, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it makes total sense.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. And I think that's stated preference, asking people sort of.
Question.
Right. I have a question for Dr. Ugboma too. I really love the fact that your story is perception based, how the accidents on the train actually changed your perception from, you know, like liking the service to, you know, getting scared of using the service itself. So I just, because you had your experience, right? And I think Dr. Emmanuel already asked this question, but this is, and you already answered. I'm just thinking that, like, do you think the experience might differ, like, from season to season? Maybe you were just lucky to have that really good experience at the time, you know. And Dr. Ugboma, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to wait for you to land with your question.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Do I think the
You think it was a fluke?
Yeah, like since the sample size is small, kind of like given the number of people you talk to and your own experience.
Oh well, I think there are two things that are involved in the number that I saw there, because the Kaduna Abuja transport by road had been bedeviled by the insecurity. Then the rail came in to serve as a way out. That also accounted for that number. Now, I don't think it's a few things. Anyway, I wouldn't know. Because I'm not really conversant with that area. But I think people are looking for where they have a transportation that is reliable and safe for them. I think those are the two things that are paramount to the average Nigerian that is moving from one destination to the other. Safety and reliability. And safety is topping that chart. So if you say it's a fluke, but that it's just conditional, that I happen to have just stumbled in it, I don't think so. I think it was the moment thing for that route at that period of time. That is the safest means of transportation for people moving from Abuja to Kaduna and Kaduna to Abuja, because the road is a no-go area. Okay, wow. But now I'm just wondering now with the closure and the attack, what has happened to the demand I saw at the train station? Nobody has come up with that answer, because it is not everybody that can afford the air ticket. Even the airlines are not even flying. So who has found out the answer to what happens to movement of people between Kaduna and Abuja?
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. I like the point you raised about we don't even know how the numbers or things have changed since that is there. Perhaps that is where research needs to come in. Yes, but let me invite Dr. Chinebuli, if she's here with us, to continue our conversation. We had a problem with the network. Dr. Chinebuli, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Yes, I think this is better now. Okay, let's go.
Okay. Okay, so I was talking about the consumers, actually, those who use the transport system. So I was saying that one of the importance of the rail industry is that it would help decongest the cities in terms of people living in the cities. Some people do not really like to live in the center of the city, in the city centers, because of the noise and pollution and all. So people might actually find it very convenient to travel a few kilometers for work. That is if the system is reliable. If, like, for example, I should be at work by 8, and I knew that if I get the train at 7:30, I would be at work by 8. So looking at consumer satisfaction and what people would want to expect, people would want reliable experience, reliable transport services. So there are a lot of things. Some of us have mentioned jobs, creation of jobs, and the moving bulk goods like oil, and a lot of some agricultural products. These would also decongest the cities because of the most reliable means of transport we have in Nigeria is the road. Everything tends to be perishable goods, some spoil. On developing the rail system would take care of some of these. I'm going to shift a little and focus on a group of people who are not usually represented enough in discussions like this. And I'm talking about special needs people. Normally, everything we've been talking about, we are focusing on people who are able to do things by themselves. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah, so we've been talking about people who can do everything by themselves. I mean, you can walk to your bus station or your train station, get into the train, and if anything happens, you can take care of yourself. What of those that cannot actually do this? Are they considered in the planning phase? I will speak a little about what Mr. Yemi mentioned about practice coming before research. I believe that some things, practice cannot come before research, because what are you practicing? What are you building if you do not get out there to find out what you're going to do? When you do feasibility studies and all, they're all research. So if I'm going to build something for a group of people, like Mr. Jide said, would be for business, and people use it for business, leisure, and a lot of things. I don't need to sit in my office and assume that this is how I'm going to do this for a group of people. We'll need to get out there and speak to the people who are actually going to use the service.
Yeah, I think it's the network again. Yeah. Okay.
Where the research comes in, serve them, talk to them. For example, pedestrian bridge in Lagos. And we found out that some people just sit down. Can you hear me?
We heard you around the pedestrian bridge.
Okay. So what I was saying was that, so we found out that some of those bridges weren't being used because we had some people observing movements, you know, and use of those bridges. And when we started asking questions, we found out that people do not, like people do not move around that area that much. And people do not usually cross that much. So you can't sit down in your office and assume that if you put this thing here, it's going to move, people will walk this distance to come and use them. So what I'm talking about is that those who are physically challenged, those who do not see, and those who do not hear, how are they considered? Are they considered at all in these things? Because they would also need to use these services. And you can only do this in the planning phase, because it's very difficult to put in all these special infrastructures and furnitures on this in building these things after construction has been done. That is why at this point, even as these things are being done, we need to talk to consumers. We need to talk to every group of different group of people using this transport. We're going to look at how satisfied they are. Are they comfortable? Are the services very accessible to all groups of people? Because we are building for everybody, not just for a group of people. If an elderly person, 60 plus, 65, 70, wants to use the train system in Nigeria, can they do that? We know that we are at the initial stage, but yes, even at this point, we should get it right so that we don't start going back to say that, yes, this would have been done at, this would have been done before this one was done. No. So what I'm talking about now is that, you lose me again.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, thank you, because I started hearing some noise. So another issue I would want to talk about is the security, which Dr. Ugboma has also talked about. It is quite unfortunate that at this point, where we're trying to get things right, we also have people sabotaging the efforts of the government. But I think the government needs to do more. We need to go back and sit down and look at what should be done to improve the services, to prevent these things. And that doesn't mean copying what has been done in other places, because obviously we have our own peculiar problems. We have cultural issues that should be taken care of to improve the services. So as long as the train industry is concerned now, I think while we're trying to improve the services and all, the issue of security should be taken care of. And I'm also in support of Dr. Ugboma and you, Emmanuel, about some research taking place to find out what happened, what has happened after that incident. Has anything been done? What has been done on that corridor? Can you compare the number of people who we are using? You know how we do, if you're a researcher, you know how we do before and after studies. So we do some comparisons and find out what has been happening. In the past, what has been happening? Speak to people who are still using the services. This thing happened in the last 2 weeks. In the last few weeks, and you are still using this service. Why are you still using this service? Are you not afraid? Are you not, you understand, when you speak to people, you acquire knowledge that wasn't there. You tend to understand a lot of things. You understand what I'm saying? When you sit down on your own, you may assume that, yes, I know why this person is doing that. No, until you speak to people, you may not understand why they do things they do. So some people are still using those lines. Why are they doing that? The number may be, let's say 10,000 before, and now it is 5,000. But the thing is that people are still using it. Why are they still using it? Are they satisfied with the level of the service quality? Do they feel safer than using the road transport? Dr. Ugboma also mentioned some people not being able to afford flying from one place to the other, yet that is also an issue, and that could also be one of the reasons why people still prefer to use rail services. So there are a lot of things that should be looked into to improve these services. I haven't used any yet, but my brother uses it almost every week, the Lagos-Ibadan line. And he is very satisfied with the service, whatever it is. He is very satisfied with the service. And if people are satisfied with the service, I think government needs to do a lot to sustain it. We can't have people sabotaging the efforts, because once that incident happened a few weeks back, I think they pulled us back a little. So we should find ways to move forward and sustain this rail industry, no matter what, because it is very important we do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chinebuli. We so much appreciate your insight, and I'm so happy the network did not stop us from really hearing from you. Yes, despite the challenges of the network, it's like that train that had to really go through that snow, and really, yes, you got there at last. Thank you so much. And I like the perspective you've brought in with regards to maybe people with disability, the adults, or even children, to see how do they navigate this sector. But yes, I also want to reiterate your point about the quality service. I think I was asking Dr. Ugboma as well, like, are these customers satisfied with what they have? Like, at least we don't have an option. This is better. Or do you think there is prospect for something better? So we come back to that question. So let me just try and go back to Engineer Remi Adewunmi. So, sir, if I can ask you, maybe Jide, you can also help me to follow with this question. Because when you think about rail, you see it as a government thing. And if it's a government thing, do you see any chance for private organizations to come on board to sort of change the dynamics and really make it more interesting? So Dr. Engineer Adewunmi, please, what do you think? Is rail just government? What are the prospects of private coming on? You know, whenever there's private, there's things that are going to change. Look at our education system. You've got the government universities, but you've got the private coming on board to shape everything. Even when NASU is on strike, private will tell you we will still go in. So for rail sectors, what do you think of the prospect of private enterprises or individuals coming on board to help improve the service quality?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think that is the ultimate. That is where we should be heading. That the private will be the one running the coaches, will be the one running the services. But for now, it is only one operator, and that is government. The Nigerian Railway Corporation is still the sole operator of rail train services in the country. Well, the states, very soon, maybe Lagos State will soon start, but it's still government. You see, so at the end of the day, until anything government, particularly in Nigeria, we have a different coloration of it, but that is us. But ultimately, and I think we will get there, because you gave the example of the education system. Another example that is readily that comes to mind easily is the communication sector.
Oh yeah,
by the time we had Niger, we had the government owned it. They came out with their own, but you know what happened. But by the time all the other things opened up I think efforts have been made in the past to unbundle the Nigerian railways and then allow investors to come into it. But politics and a lot of intricacies do still hold some of these things back. Some came from South Africa to run it. They couldn't find a good reading with government how it should be done. Well, we are in the hand of the Chinese now, but there is just to fund the infrastructure provided and collect their money back over a time period. There are other interests too that General Electric also came in at some point, thinking that they could have an understanding with the Nigerian government, but they couldn't strike. They couldn't strike a chord on it, and well, we hope one day we'll be able to find a good platform where the train system will operate smoothly, and it's a lot of business for Nigerians.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the doctor that was telling us of my experience of having to walk through 11 coaches to be able to find where to buy something to eat in the train. It's because they have not opened it for commercial purpose, and they've left only one coach where things can be sold. There's nothing wrong in somebody running the line with a trolley, selling whatever for people. And it's a business. At the end of the day, that person will go home with some profit, and he will meet a lot of demands from a family or his family. But they've restricted it to just one coach attached to the first class. Let me use this opportunity to answer one of the questions that is raised about where are the crowds that were running on that Kaduna-Abuja train? Where have they suddenly dispersed? That's the service we use regularly from Zaria to get to Abuja. And I can assure you that the bulk of the users of that train, they are not the general transport commuters on Abuja. They are the ones who are afraid of the dangers of the road. And they saw that Kaduna train as an alternative, safe means of transport for them until the incidents of March 20. So they moved elsewhere. The ones who go back to the road have gone back to the road. They are managing it like that. As we speak, the volume of travel on that Abuja-Kaduna road is still very heavy. But the rich ones have decided to be flying to Abuja through Kano, So everybody finds their level because that is only alternative. There's no other rail connection.
Wow.
They're forced to use what is available. So, as it were, it is still government for now.
Okay.
And unless something happens.
Thank you so much for your answers. Yes, I really appreciate that. Jide, would you want to share some international perspective? And if you can also relate to what Chigozie said there, he said non-state actors can be grafted in to provide specialized coaches. What do you think? Are we just talking about it? Do you think it's feasible, or we need to recognize the problem with Nigeria? As in, can we transport ideas from America, from US, from UK to US to Nigeria? Or you think we should just mind our own problem?
I think ultimately, private sector investment is needed, and the commercial focus it brings will elevate the Nigerian industry to a different level. But the challenge is, there's always been interest for the last 30 years. There's always been interest. Private sector has been interested. Like Engineer Adewunmi mentioned, we have General Electric who have come, Transnet from South Africa. We've had some Russian, and we've had some Russian, Swedish, interest, private sector interest. But the aspect that is holding Nigeria back has always been the laws, the existing law. We have the 1955 Railway Act that, says clearly that private sector, that the railway is under the control of government, and Nigerian Railway Corporation is the sole provider and operator of rail services. So this is a major stumbling block. Even if we try and work around this, and this is what we've been doing for the last 20 years, we've been trying to work around this law, but these private sector interests they're scared or they're nervous to invest when the legal structure doesn't support what they want to do. They're restricted. So until we solve the problem regarding the legalities, you understand, it's very difficult for us to progress in terms of private sector investment. I think recently, though, there was a bill called I think it concerns devolution. So hopefully this will encourage, that was passed recently, I think last year. So this will encourage state sectors to be able to build their own lines, and also hopefully they can bring private sector investment similarly to Lagos. So that will obviously open opportunities for many state governments. But in terms of private sector, from my dealings, as a consultant, dealing with, I've dealt with many international players that are interested in investing in Nigeria, but the stumbling block is the legalities. They're willing to invest, but the restrictions, how can you ask someone to invest billions of dollars into a sector where the transport policy is not entirely clear yet, and the legal structures regarding who will operate the lines, how much I can put in, who controls fares. For instance, I invest 2 billion to build my railway, but I can't set the fare price. Why will I, how am I going to recuperate my revenue? And we have yet to sort out these kind of issues, the laws within the sector. Until we get there, set that aside and, have a discussion, a clean discussion, and start talking about these many players that affect the rail sector as a whole, it'll be very difficult. I'm not being negative. I believe this is something that it's not insurmountable, but we need to really, sit down and have a true discussion about these issues, the laws in place.
Yes, I don't know if you have a law practitioner here, but I guess that's something to really look into. This is something that has been put in place since 1950, and this is 2022. What do you think could be the way forward, or you think we should just leave it for somebody sometimes to come and sort it out? Do you think there could be some kind of lobbying, some kind of pressure to talk to our ministers or I'm sure they know about it, or you think that's an untouched area? Jide, what do you think?
They know about it.
2050 law still working in 2022.
They know about it, but it's quite complex. This is something that might take, one administrative term, for a senator is 4 years. I think in Britain, in UK, the privatization process took between 1990 to 1995, 5 years.
Okay.
No, it's very difficult to encourage a senator who knows he's going to be there for 4 years to get this kind of thing started. It's very unlikely before the discussions even begin, before we get there and even try and implement something, his term is already finished for some. So I think continuity is always going to be an issue. However, the lobby, I believe, still isn't strong enough. And that's because there's a lack of voice in the sector. We don't have a Nigerian, railway industry association or some kind of stakeholder group that can continuously put pressure on these issues. This is something that's actually of utmost priority, in my opinion. There needs to be some kind of stakeholder group, industry association that will be speaking to passengers, speaking to the legal aspects that can be drafting these kind of plans, hosting conferences and speaking directly to governors, senators, ministers that can continuously lobby this issue. I mean, that's a starting point, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. I think often we want to get like an action plan, and I like that idea about the stakeholder group, because while government is doing their thing, we need to recognize that there should be some dynamics within the industry that can at least put some pressure on the government for them to think about it. Thank you so much. Yes, I really appreciate it. Let me ask some academic questions. Like, yes, Dr. Ugboma, you made mention about the understanding perhaps the experience or differences between before the attack and after the attack. What type of research do you think we need? What type of information or what type of insights do you think we need to create? I'm just trying to think as an academic, like somebody who likes research. What are those things that you think we need to look into?
Okay. From the academic point of view, would like to find out what will make commuters still come back. I think that's one thing.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm sure the answers are going to border on security. So now the question is, what are the tools that should be in place to ensure security along the track? And are we up to providing those tools? But let me tell you, you know, the whole idea about research really is to enhance our problem-solving skills, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we need to be on ground to be able to study these attributes and study what is going on. But you see, we have a challenge to doing that right now because nobody is ready to risk our life doing it. I'm not going to go to that axis to go and try to find out. Even if you give me all the bulletproofs in the world, I'm all jackets to wear, I'm not going anywhere. Okay, maybe that's the difference between us and the global north. That they're ready to stick out their heads. I mean, when they die, their names go down. Okay, but I don't think we have reached that level. So, but the essence, the whole essence is that, you see, it's going to bring me about talking politics and government involvement, because everything that evolves around what we're talking about is the political will of the government to see that this thing moves ahead. What does it take to have a standard, efficient, running rail transportation? Absolutely nothing. You're thinking about you were talking about bringing in intelligence or what do you call it, Western attributes and all that. See, many of the people that are in government, they travel every day. They know these things. We are not dullards in Nigeria. We're one of the best people intellectually all over the world. So we have the capacity to ensure that things are running well. But the political will is not there. You see, when we continue going around this thing, for some of us, it doesn't make us happy. Because when we look at Dubai 20 years ago, where was Dubai 20 years ago? Where are they now? And we're still here since 1960, and we're still saying the same thing. In fact, we are rotating around the wrong cycle. Still the same people, you know, cycling and evolving themselves. So it doesn't make me happy. We don't lack capacity, we don't lack funds, we don't lack intellectual capability. We have everything. But the political will to back up tell me, okay, for instance, we've had a draft national transport policy since 2010. Why is it not ratified up till now? Even the Lagos State transport policy that is going to 3 years now. What is holding it back from being ratified and implemented? These are some of the questions. When you look at them, you can't have an organized transportation system without a good transport policy, an implementable transport policy. Why that policy is still not ratified is something that is surprising. So everything here is hinging on the political will to ensure that it works. The private sector is ready. So what are we talking about? So we are our own problem until we start telling ourselves.
Wow, that's fine. Thank you so much.
You're talking about research, Emmanuel.
Yes,
I hope you know universities are not in session.
Yeah, yes, I understand.
So how are you going to encourage a lecturer to risk his or her life without any pay in his pocket to go look for reasons or solutions or challenges to why terrorists are attacking train stations? Come on.
Thank you so much. I really understand that. And the point is, we need to recognize that as some of the challenges that we have to face. Again, you can see everything is connected, even the universities being on strike, the funding, and it's a challenge. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that insight. Yes, let me go to Dr. Chinebuli. Yes, you mentioned the people with disabilities and children, and rather an adult. What do you think of, how do you think we can improve their service quality? Or you think they just need to manage with what is available now?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I do not think they need to manage anything. Yes, they don't need to manage anything. Yeah. Number one, I can't even stand here because as it is now, I can't say I am disabled. In as much as we all read, we do literatures, and we know that this is what they need, this and that, but we need to speak to them. Number one, have you been on this train? What was your experience? How did you find this, that, and all? So we need to hear from these people. Their experiences, their needs would probably be different from, what ordinary people experience.
Yeah.
Number one, they may need assistance getting into those trains. They may need assistance walking around in those trains. Dr. Ogboma mentioned not being able to identify her seat in her coach after she left. So how would somebody who is unable to see do that? Help them do some of these things, find their way around the trains. Those who cannot hear, how do you make them know that, hey, we are at this station? Are there interfaces? Are there communication tools in the trains? I know there will be, people. Are they designed to make these people comfortable in the trains? I also look those in the wheelchair, like I thought, can they confidently move around? Are there spaces in the trains where they can put their wheelchairs and sit down and enjoy whatever ride it is? So what I'm saying is that in as much as we know that we need to put some facilities in place to improve their experience, because from me, I don't think they should manage. It's even easier for someone who is able to manage compared to them. So I think to add to what we already know, like I said before, it's good to look at best practices around the world and look at what has been done outside here and say these people have been on this for a long time. We can look at what they are doing and then we can do ours. But we should also consider the cultural differences, the environment where we are operating from. There are peculiar differences in the environment. Their experiences would help us, like, okay, we need to provide some accessible spaces in this train. Number two, if you provide this, how do we have people around who can help these people for whatever they need here? So when we try to look at what people have done in the past outside here, we should also consider our own problems here. Our problem of insecurity, we all know what happened in the past few weeks. And so when we are doing our own planning, we should also consider these things. If this were to happen and everybody is trying to get out on their own, what would happen to these people?
On a wheelchair.
I don't know. I can't even imagine it. I'm just trying to play it in my head. What would happen to these people? Everybody is trying to, people may jump on them. Somebody is there who cannot see. You understand?
That's
so true. When we plan this thing, we should consider them and say, are there places they can run to? Are there places, when you get on some of these things, when you get into some buildings, you find some accessible areas, you can use this and that. Did we provide this? Because like I mentioned before, these are better done in the planning phase.
Right from the beginning.
Planning phase, because it is difficult to include or add these services after everything has been done. And that is why research should be conducted at each stage before any project. These projects cost a lot of money. So you just don't want to do them. So these things should be done. There should be research before construction, and then at each stage of implementation, and when people start using, you don't just say we are finished. Even as people are using these services now, you keep talking to them, finding out how it could be improved, and a lot of other things. Like I continue to say, it should be sustained. And like Dr. Ugboma said, we've been on strike for some time now. So it's very difficult. I don't know, in the past 2 years, I don't know how long we've been on strike. I'm not sure if we've been able to study for a complete year. So that's also affects these things. Wow. There are no research funds. You practically need to look for funds outside to carry out research in Nigeria, because you don't have a lot of people sponsoring you. So you need to go out there and say, please, I would need to do this. And then you get money from outside to do this research here. You understand? So there are a lot of things. Talking about research, I think it should be a topic for another day, because there are a whole lot of things going on there. So what I am trying to say, because I am very passionate about, in my line of research, I'm a human factors researcher. So I'm very passionate about those who use these services. And then when I move to ordinary people, I move to special needs people. This person is disabled. How is this person able to use this service? This person cannot see. This person cannot hear. Do we need special devices? Do we need to do this, do that, to make sure at least they are comfortable to an extent? Not very, 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 very comfortable, but at least they can use the services on their own. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I guess I think I need to rephrase that my last statement about they should not manage anything. They should be provided with enough services. Yes, thank you so much. Any question from the audience, please?
I do have a question for Dr. Chinebuli.
Okay.
So yes, given that many inclusion studies in Nigeria is either about people with disabilities and adults who cannot navigate their ways on their own. So I was thinking, because this is also an issue in Nigeria, inclusion as regards to pregnant women and women as a whole, especially pregnant women, most especially. I wouldn't know Dr. Ugboma's experience with the what's it called now? The leg room in trains and all of those things. I think it's a big issue. Many of these infrastructures are designed without putting in mind that people like this could use the services. I don't know if you work along that line, women, pregnant women, and all of those things too.
Okay, you want me to tell you about the leg? Sorry, Chinebuli.
Yeah. Go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Yeah,
okay.
Because the leg room is okay for people that can get up out. But from Chinebuli's challenged people's perspective, it is absolutely not applicable. On the coach that I was sitting, there weren't vision at all. for wheelchairs. You know, their provisions are specialized because they need to be anchored and clipped. Their wheelchairs need to be clipped somewhere, like in the metro buses that you have outside here. You need somewhere to anchor them so that the turbulence of the back and forth will not affect them. Okay, you don't have such. I didn't see anything like that in my own beach, and all the 11 beaches I've traveled by. So, and what Chinebuli said about planning, is very important because when these people are planning, I had the same experience when the Lagos State Transport Policy being formulated because I happened to be around. The women and the physically challenged are never put in at the planning stage of all these. You see all the men around there. So that some of them misunderstand it when the women keep, speaking out that where are the women, break the bias and all that. And they will think it's feminism. It's not. We just want to be part of what is happening so that there won't be the costly errors of reviewing and reverse of policies. Because it will cost you a lot where you miss out certain things ab initio. Getting back to them is a lot of cost. So from the beginning, let's have this integration of all and sundry into the planning stage so that we won't have that cost. Chinebuli, please, over. Thank you.
I think you've said everything. You've covered everything here.
Thank you.
Emmanuel, you're muted.
Oh, thank you. I just want to acknowledge some comment from the comment sections. Like Sayori has actually listed some things. He said, my gentle take indeed. Like after 7 points, that's really gentle. I imagine what the ungentle one will be. So thank you so much for that. And I think Umar Obafemi also gave a lot of insight, especially the intercity and the intracity. Thank you so much. So I think I can still have 1 or 2 more questions. Any question from the audience, please, before the speakers give us their closing statements. Okay, Chigoze said, I would like to know what has changed because the last time I traveled by train was in early 2000. Internal security was provided by man of war. Yes. Who will answer? Maybe Dr. Remi will answer that. What do you think has changed since 2020, for the past 20 years with train?
Emmanuel.
Yes.
A lot has changed. The kind of security challenges we have now is not what.
It's not Manuel's problem.
It's not what Manuel can handle.
Can't solve. Wow. That's really interesting.
A lot has really changed. But by and large, the prospect for a rail transportation is there in the country. There's no doubt about that. We look forward to having a sustainable transport system, and the rail is definitely going to be part of it. And the resources are there. It's just that we can't focus directly in this country. We try to politicize almost all our daily life in location of facilities, location of infrastructures. We use geopolitical zone to divide the booties and all that. But by and large, the things can be better. And truly, there are a lot of countries waiting for Nigeria to get things right because they are dependent on it.
Wow.
Somebody raised the issue of an advocacy for rail stakeholders. I think it can start with this group, this discussion, and we could fashion out in the absence of any other anyway, or even bring out others that have come before us or have such minds. So now on a regular basis, let governments know that, look, this is how it's done outside the country. These are the success stories from across the globe. It can also happen in Nigeria. So let's have that railway stakeholders advocacy group or whatever name it can call, so that we address railway issues, and it will be as a closing part from me. I want to thank Jide for bringing the memories of in Okodogo. It's something I immediately mentioned it. I remember it because we used to have some relations in Idogo, and that's the train we used to enjoy. I was small then using it, but I love going on that train. And truly, as he put it, they are for vegetable and farmers who bring their goods to sell in Lagos and return later. But it's a wonderful experience those days. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. Thank you. So Jide, any closing remark? What was the last statement? Like, yes, as we bring this to an end, it's been 2 hours. Was that one closing statement? Thank you.
I think encompassing what everybody, all the panelists have said, I think the key is we need greater involvement and collaboration of stakeholder groups across the railway planning process. So whether this is, as they've said, those that are disabled, so disabled, those in the local farmers, those that are commuters, leisure travelers, we need to be able to find this kind of, we need to get this information. We need a advocacy group or somewhere where people can be able to exhibit and be able to tell their story, so we can get this information and details that will help create a better rail service. And this needs to be inclusive. The railway is for all Nigerians, and we need to get the voice of all Nigerians. Yes. So back to my initial point, as I've said, there's nothing stopping us from creating a Nigerian Rail Industry Association that can act as a bridge between the community and the government. And I think this needs to be the priority heading forward.
Yes, thank you. I like your point about it's for Nigerians. So, and it should be inclusive. That should not just be for men. It should be for even getting everybody involved. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yes. Dr. Ugboma, yes, your closing remark, please.
Okay, being that the railway system and railway transportation for Nigeria, I will, my closing remark would be for the government to have that view, ensure that the rail system is for Nigerians enjoyed by Nigerians. And to be able to do that, they need to have a concrete, ratified transport, national transport policy. Without a policy, can only be proceeding on disjointed, a lot of errors and a lot of reviews which are costly. And we also need to have at the back of our mind sustainability of our transport system. Because a nation's transport development capacity to deliver responsive, affordable, accessible, safe, and structurally coordinated and integrated transport system that will be beneficial to everyone.
Thank you so much. Like, really appreciate your point. It's something very we need to recognize and to see how we can make this work. It's for Nigerians and Nigerians to benefit from that. Thank you so much. Yes, Dr. Chinebuli, yes, your closing remark, please.
Okay, we all know that this is new to us, not new, but new to us, this rail thing and all, and a lot of money has been invested in these projects. But unfortunately, from what we have heard today, there are no provision for these, for the needs of these people in the rail industry. So what I'm going to leave today is that I think going forward, genuine effort should be made to ensure that their needs are considered in the other lines that are being developed. It's unfortunate that someone who wants to travel cannot travel because of one infrastructure deficit or the other. So I think efforts could be made at this point, so whatever mistakes or whatever errors has been done in the past could be corrected to an extent in what is planned in the future. And then number 2 is sustainability. We need to sustain this system no matter what. We should accord it the priority it deserves, because we are going to get a lot from this. If we complete it and we have all these lines in the states connecting to different road transport systems, airports, and using it to move goods from one place to the other, we are all going to enjoy it. Dr. Ugboma said it is for us. And we should do everything within our power to make sure that we have the best. What we are doing today should be better than what people have done in the past years. Because right now we have all the technologies, we have everything at our disposal to make it work and to make it better than what others have. So I think we should take advantage of whatever we have going for us now to make sure that this works and that it is sustained. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have all of you around. Yes, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your effort, and for us to start this conversation, I think it's important for us to recognize that this is Nigeria and this is our thing, irrespective of our geographical location. Yes, we still have some kind of commitment and some connections to Nigeria, and that's something we just want to start from, to actually talk about it. And hopefully we can gain some insight. So thank you so much for the participants. Thank you so much for those who have engaged. Abimbola Ogunbere, thank you so much for your comment and for your questions. Yes, and for Huma and for those who have dropped the comments and those who have continued the conversation. Thank you so much. So it's actually time for me to bring this to an end. And Ayorinde, thank you also for your conclusion. So Mr. Jide, Engineer Remi, Dr. Ugboma, Dr. Chinebuli, thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure to gain this insight from you and to actually see what we can do moving forward. So on that note, I would like to bring this to an end. I'd like to bring this roundtable discussion to an end. Thank you so much. I hope to see you sometimes again when we have something around transportation, but surely we keep in touch. We can continue this conversation and to keep you posted about some progress we are making.
Hello. Yes. Good evening.
Good evening.
Sorry, I've not been able to contribute. I was actually on route, and I was on a journey, but I've been following through. I just landed, and I just wanted to add a few statements on making provisions for the disabled.
Okay, go on, please.
My name is Abdurrahman. I was part of the train, construction for Abuja, Kaduna, Owerri, Itape, Lagos, Ibadan, and then I'm currently on a Port Harcourt Maiduguri project. So on making provision for the disabled, I think probably we'll be speaking on two parts, maybe making provisions for the stations and then for the train itself. For making provisions for the station, which is, the permanent facilities which are being constructed, I think provisions have been made for the disabled. Because first of all, you have probably maybe slope where, someone who is disabled cannot walk, can, probably access the station building. And then before you enter the train, you probably see there's a safety strip, usually a yellow tile, which has rough surface. We call it safety strip because, for someone who is blind, for instance, with your walking stick, once you get there, you can always feel a change in texture. And then you will know that, yes, you have gotten to the safety strip. For the toilet, for instance, we always have toilets for, disabled with an emergency switch, grab bars, which is the standard for providing, toilets for disabled. So I feel if we are talking about making provisions for the disabled, it would probably be maybe in acquiring coaches that are specially made for disabled, since we don't make coaches here in Nigeria.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just wanted to shed more light on, providing, facilities for disabled people.
Wow.
Emmanuel, let me just thank you, Abdurrahman. I was just waiting for you, to get to the point of the the disabled person getting on board the coach, because there was absolutely nothing like that. Even I had to get some energy to climb up those steps that I saw there. So I was just waiting for you. Thank God you said that the coaches aren't specified for them. So you guys should do something about those are brothers.
Sorry, are you talking about Lagos Ibadan project?
No. I'm talking about Regatta
Idu Regatta.
Yes.
Okay, so there's no escalator when you get there, because we have escalator and a lift, and those, specifically we even use for disabled.
No, I mean getting on the coaches, not the station. Getting on the coaches, not the station, facility.
Okay. I think that's a wonderful observation, because ideally in construction,
absolutely,
yes, made for profiles and obstacles, the train should flush with, the platform, so that, transitioning into it is smooth.
Yeah, at least
thank you.
We got a practitioner to really tell us some of those things that you've been doing. Yes, so again, credit to the guys who are working on it. Yes, but I think, like you said, there's still always a room for improvement. So for us to hopefully get a better train that can flush with the platform, so that our doctors will not need to start looking for energy before they climb onto the coaches. So please, that's
Emmanuel, I heard you.
I didn't mention the doctor, don't worry. Yeah, but I'm sure we really need to recognize that. But thank you so much for sharing your point. I hope we can continue this conversation. At least I like you at least made the effort to let us know what is going on. But again, thank you so much. We promised 3 to 5. Again, we are very mindful of those of you who still want to go for the parties. So please, we need to keep this in short, but I will surely be in touch. Thank you so much for your time. So my panelists, be ready for my messages. I'll be coming to you to get some further insights. So on that note, thank you so much once again. Greetings from SEMRI. I hope to be in touch and to keep you posted about our activities. So thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jide. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.